Morning, everyone. Your morning weather briefing for this May 1st finds that there are no major changes in the forecast versus what I presented yesterday. Storm system in the near term is still forecast to bring some significant and locally heavy rains to a big portion of the Corn Belt from especially later on today into a portion of Friday, but the longer range forecast for the Corn Belt is not overly wet. Dry weather that began back on Friday in the Mid-South is going to continue for another 3 days before some modest rains are seen there to finish off this work week. Still have some daily chances for strong and severe thunderstorms in the southern plains through Thursday, but never a situation where we are going to be bringing in that area a widespread good rainfall event in that period. Also, some warmth in the near term in the southern plains with some 90s for highs for today through as late as Thursday. Not a wet pattern ahead for the northern plains, and in fact, a lot of that area looking at completely dry weather for today through at least the weekend. My temperature and rainfall forecast this morning, one thing I do want to point out is that the models in general are backing off on the amount of cool weather that we are going to be seeing. A lot of warmth in the near term for a big portion of the nation's midsection above and much above normal temperatures with a lot of 70s and 80s for highs in the Corn Belt, and as I mentioned, some 90s for highs for the next few days possible in portions of the southern plains. Cool weather after that, but in general, again, the model's backing off on the severity of that cool weather and limiting it generally to the eastern Corn Belt, mid-south, and southeast, and then like yesterday, good indications of some warming weather again as we head towards the middle of this month in the 11 to 15 day period. QPF discussion this morning. No major disagreements with what is shown by the Weather Prediction Center. A multi-day rainfall threat is going to be bringing some big amounts of rainfall to a sizable portion of the Corn Belt, again, from especially later on today through Friday. But again, notice how discouraging it is with regards to rainfall chances in a big portion of the winter wheat area of the southern plains. QPF discussion for the day 6 to 7 day time frame. That would be Sunday and Monday of next week. No big rains indicated anywhere in the middle of the country, and overall this map may actually be overdoing rainfall coverage by a fairly significant amount. Afternoon high temperature map yesterday. Most significant about this is the warmth that we saw in the central plains through the central and western Corn Belt. 80 plus degree high temperatures there yesterday, representing readings anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees above normal. 18-hour precipitation totals through 1 o'clock this morning, showing a big portion of the nation's midsection staying dry, but some significant rains across portions of the northwestern Corn Belt. A couple of spots there seeing more than 3/4 of an inch, and this is backed up by the radar estimated rainfall, again showing a pocket in the northwestern Corn Belt where there were some areas seeing half to 1 inch rainfall amounts, and locally even more than that. A look at the radar this morning is showing some scattered showers and thunderstorms generally to the west of Interstate 35 in the western Corn Belt. Looks like right here in Des Moines we're going to be seeing some thunderstorm activity here this morning before too long. Corn planting progress. My number yesterday was 22%, but that was considerably higher than the actual figure that came out at 17%. Certainly slower than the 5-year average, but our 17% figure still a long ways from a disaster when you consider just how bad the situation was on April 28th in years such as 2013, 1993, and 1995, when less than 10% of the national corn crop was in the ground as of April 28th. Because I was too high on the numbers yesterday, I've had to back off on my projections for next week's report. I'm now looking for 35 to 36% done on the national corn planting progress figure and around 40% done for spring wheat. As far as the weather forecast details is concerned, again, a situation where a slow-moving cold front or slow-moving frontal boundary is going to be producing a multi-day rainfall threat in the Corn Belt. You can see that I've just drawn in the frontal boundary as of later on today as depicted by the European model. And there's what it looks like for later on tomorrow from the European model and as we get towards later on Thursday. Upper level energy from the system is generally confined to southwestern portions of the nation for the next couple of days, but then you see that a lot of that energy is pushed east and northeast by the time we get to late Thursday, and that means that that frontal boundary is finally going to be making its way eastward and weakening as we get towards the end of this work week period. With a frontal system not moving a whole lot, you're going to be seeing a multi-day threat of severe weather, especially given the time of year it is. And there is the depiction of where the areas are favored for severe weather for today, tomorrow, and also on Thursday. Again, significant rainfall event, especially for the Corn Belt, from especially later on today through a portion of Friday. Looks like Iowa is probably going to be the favorite area for some of the biggest rainfall amounts. Generally, the models are in agreement that portions of Iowa and some nearby areas could be seeing some localized rainfall amounts of more than 2 inches during the period in question. And again, just emphasizing a point that I've had since late Friday. Even though it is the latter portion of April and the early portion of May, a time frame in which field work opportunities should be rampant, it is a situation, really the rare situation, where a big rainfall event in the early portion of May is extremely beneficial for a big portion of the Corn Belt, especially in that area that I've just outlined there with my marker. Again, a lot of that area has had a considerable amount of field work done in recent days, and they're still going to be getting a little bit done today before the rains move in. And when you consider just how extremely dry that area was in the month of April, all of the rainfall for that area is extremely beneficial, just given how dry it has been and given how much field work has been done in that area. I've been talking in recent days about how windy it would be in the near term, and certainly those winds verified yesterday. This is a picture of Interstate 80 in eastern Nebraska. I believe it was in the Lincoln area, and you can see that the dust was so bad that it was actually obscuring visibility along Interstate 80. They actually had to close the interstate for a while yesterday after they had a multicolor pileup. The winds will not be quite as bad, but they're still going to be fairly strong across a good portion of the western Corn Belt and into the southern plains winter wheat areas for today through about Thursday. Longer term details of the rainfall forecast still a little bit up in the air, but again, not a situation where I think we're going to be seeing any big storms for the 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 day time frames. Most likely a lot of dry weather in the nation's midsection for this weekend through Monday and Tuesday, and then probably a system moving across for about the Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week. And you can see the rainfall from that system from the European model on the left and the GFS model on the right. Neither model, though, indicating any sort of a big storm system for that time frame. So again, probably some rainfall in the middle of the country for around the Wednesday, Thursday time frame of next week, but confidence overall quite high on a big area of below normal rainfall in the middle of the country for the 6 to 10 day period, despite the rain that is going to be occurring for Wednesday and Thursday. Temperature-wise, again, a lot of warmth in the near term, followed by some cool weather after that for especially May 5 through 10, but the models are backing off on the severity of whatever cool is seen for that time frame. And then again, like yesterday, looking at a nice warming trend as we head towards the 11 to 15 day period. These are temperature anomalies for the May 14th time frame from the GFS ensemble in the upper left, this Canadian ensemble in the upper right, and the European ensemble in the middle center, again indicating extensive areas of above normal temperatures across a big portion of the country for May 14th. And in fact, that warm temperature regime is going to be dominating a big portion of the nation for the entire 11 to 15 day time frame. A few notes internationally this morning. No changes in the Brazilian forecast. Still looking at a significant area of subnormal rainfall across most of the Safrina corn area of Brazil for the next 2 weeks. And there you can see on the right total rainfall in that period, especially dry in Goiás and Minas Gerais. Some very modest rains possible for around the May 9th or 10th time frame in far southern growing areas. But again, emphasizing that this is clearly a below normal rainfall regime for the first half of May for all of the Safrina corn areas of Brazil. Still continuing to see a very wet pattern in Argentina for especially the next 10 days before they dry out in the 11 to 15 day period. Extremely heavy rains likely for eastern Cordoba eastward through Entre Rios, and a significant portion of the rains that are shown on those maps is going to be falling from today through Thursday. Over in Europe and the former Soviet Union, certainly not a wet pattern there. You can see from the European models 10-day rainfall forecast that a big portion of, say, Germany, Poland, a portion of Ukraine, a portion of southern Russia looking at minimal amounts of rainfall, some places nothing at all for the next 10 days. Also a situation where they need rainfall in Australian wheat areas as we are getting into the planting season there. Normal rainfall at best for maybe some portions of Victoria into some portion of South Australia. A lot of that rainfall occurring for tomorrow and Thursday. Otherwise, for the rest of the Australian wheat areas, big areas of below normal rainfall dominating that area for the entire 2 week time frame. That's what I have for this morning. Everyone have themselves a great day.